Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. This is Christopher Moldong. Today I'm going to do a manga review of Dawn of the Arcana, volumes 4 to 6. Be sure to also check out my reading of Homesickness, pages 7 to 10, and my movie review for King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Next time I'll have a manga review for Dawn of the Arcana, volume 7 to 9, a reading of Homesickness, pages 11 to 15, and in a few weeks, a movie review for Wonder Woman. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldon.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99. Also, for $2.99, you can buy my short story collection, a collection of 10 short stories in the horror, fantasy, and realistic fiction genres. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided in the description. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. So, the way that this works is that I will review Volume 4, then give my thoughts on that volume, Volume 5, give my thoughts on that, and Volume 6, and give my thoughts on that. So, there will have spoilers. It starts with a recap and whatnot, so a pretty detailed recap right away. So, let's get started with Volume 4. So the volume begins with Caesar confronting Louise. He tells her that his heart belongs to Nakaba. Caesar finds Belenus and confronts him about what he saw in the dungeons, even threatening Belenus' sister. Belenus said that he was careful cleaning up, and that word never reached the top. Caesar then asked for his help. Nakaba sees Akil outside, and he tells her to unleash her power and let it be her strength. So Nakaba uses the Arcana of Time to see the future. She sees a girl in a village getting stabbed through the stomach with a sword. Outside, Nakaba runs into the girl, who happens to be Belenus' sister. She has an obvious brother complex. Nakaba goes back to her room where Akil, Caesar, and Loki are waiting for her. She's informed that the king is going to dispatch soldiers to an Ajan village in the northern border to test out the Letna blades in battle. Akil tells them that he is to return to Lithuania tomorrow and leaves Belquat in their hands. Nakaba tells Loki that she had a vision of Belenus' sister dying on one of those Letna swords. She saw mountains and an Ajan village too. Later, Caesar tells Nakaba and Loki that his excuse to leave the castle will be a honeymoon. The king tells Belenus to escort them. On the carriage ride, Belenus' sister, Lemuria, stowed away. Lemuria convinces them to take her with them. At an inn, Nakaba tells Loki that she wants to tell Caesar about the Arcana of Time and Lemuria's death. Loki says that she can't and that she'll be killed. The king of Belquat sought to destroy that power. Nakaba decides to protect Lemuria herself. Lemuria takes Nakaba out for some shopping, and Nakaba buys earrings with black stones for Caesar. Loki meets up with the leader of the Ajan in that town, and the leader agrees to help Loki. Nakaba and Lemuria run into some thugs who want what they just bought. They apprehend Lemuria, but Nakaba fights him off and they run away. Lemuria sees a dog and asks for its help, and then Lemuria then finds the thugs' hideout. Nakaba uses the whistle to summon Loki. Loki and Caesar then deal with the thugs. Afterwards, Caesar and Nakaba go out, and Nakaba gives the earrings to Caesar. They then go to Caesar's great aunt's villa. Caesar tells Belenus that they leave for the Ajan village tomorrow. They'll eat together, but it turns out that their food was drugged. Rito, Nakaba, Caesar, and Loki get tied up and imprisoned in a room by Belenus. Belenus tells them that he cannot betray the king, but he promises that the king won't learn about their plan. Belenus tells Lemuria that Nakaba and Caesar went into the woods. Lemuria then runs off into the woods. Nakaba, Loki, and Caesar convince Balinus to allow only Nakaba to find Lemuria. In the snow, Nakaba cuts her arm, sees her blood, and uses the Arcana of Time. Nakaba finds Lemuria in a cave. They return to the villa, but Nakaba is not in good health. Nakaba sees a brief window of the past of Lemuria and Balinus, and then she wakes up. In a monologue, Balinus says that he's willing to risk everything on this princess and asks to help her. Caesar tells Nakaba that he didn't know that she valued her life. At the end of the volume, Nakaba tells Caesar that it's given her a place where she wants to live. So some thoughts on Volume 4. I guess the big thing was Balinus here, and his betrayal. I guess it wasn't too unexpected in a sense. I mean, I always felt that he was pretty loyal to Caesar, and he generally acted like a good guy. And after everything that happened, Balinus turned out to be a good guy. He was just backed into a corner. For the most part, Balinus seems like smart guy, more of the strategist type than like the physical type. Lemuria, though, she seems to be someone that is almost kind of like a damsel in distress type of character. It's interesting what happened with her and that dog. How she can like kind of feel the dog and whatnot, but like you kind of notice that in this volume it's like, oh hey, let's go shopping. Oh, there's some thugs, and they take Lemuria, and then Lemuria goes out into the woods, and she's kind of like, she seems to be the one that is instigating conflict in a sense, and it seems quite accidental, but so far that seems to be her role. Nakaba's using the Arcana of Time a lot more. It definitely helped her find Lemuria, and it seems like it's something that she's going to rely on a lot more. Nakaba in this volume, she's getting closer with Caesar, and Caesar's just kind of being, I guess, more princely in a sense, that he's always like trying to protect her and whatnot. And that kind of seems to be the role that's going on right now. It's like, oh, Caesar is being nicer and nicer, and Nakaba is liking him more and more. Loki, I think, kind of sees it, though. Loki still doesn't like Caesar very much, and it's obvious that Loki kind of has his own thing going on too. He's talking to the Argent soldiers and whatnot. So right now, though, this volume's kind of just leading to this attack on the Argent village. It's not really. It seemed more of a transitional volume than anything else, and there's some things that happened, but they haven't even reached the Argent village quite yet. So, just a transitional volume right now. So let's go on to Volume 5. The volume begins with them departing for the Argent village. The mountainous terrain is rough, but an Argent that looks like a jaguar helps them. Another Argent appears who is very cat-like, and the jaguar-like guy and the cat-like guy climb up the sheer cliff face. Nakaba and the group reach the Argent village. They are met at the entrance by the two Argent that they encountered, Gotti, who is the jaguar guy, and Leo, who's the cat-like guy. It's more like a cheetah or something like that, I guess. Like, I don't know, one of those feral cat type of guys. Gotti suggests to hear them out. Leo accuses Loki of being a housebroken dog. Loki says that if he's anyone's dog, it's Nakaba's. Caesar tells Loki that Nakaba doesn't seem as a dog, but she means the world to him. The world of him. They meet with the elder. Caesar warns him of the army that's marching to them. He also mentions the new weapons that they have. Leo shows off his power. The elder tells them that he has the Arcana of Fire. They are then invited to spend the night there. That night, Lemuria tells Nakaba that her eyes were red when she saved her. She asks if she has the Arcana. Balinus tells Caesar that the leader of the battalion is Prince Cain. Nakaba denies having the Arcana to Lemuria. Lemuria tells Nakaba about her own feelings. Uh, the next morning, Loki tells Nakaba that this village is his dream. Like all the Ajin living together and whatnot. They all meet with the Elder again. Balnus tells him that the approaching troops are not coming to subjugate them, but coming to kill them and using them as test subjects. Prince Cain and the soldiers enter the village. The village is told to surrender the land and their people. Balnus proposes to the Elder to take him and his group hostage. Leo questions why they're helping them. Nakaba tells him that she hates the royal family but likes Caesar, and Loki is her dearest friend. Leo senses that there's something different about her. At the gates, the Elder presents Caesar and the rest as hostages. They make a deal that they'll exchange the hostages if they withdraw their troops and acknowledge the sovereignty of their village. Cain says that he'll consider their demands but wants them to release the princess. The Elder releases Nakaba but also Lemuria and Rito, and Cain takes them with him and his troops. In a tent, Cain and Nakaba chat. Cain tells her that his mother was blonde and a commoner. Nakaba gets a vision of Cain as a child with his mother. His mother died, and Lady Rosenta gives birth to a black-haired child. I believe that's Caesar's mother, Lady Rosenta. Still in the vision, they change the order of succession. Cain's mother is to be known as the king's concubine, and Lady Rosenta will be queen. A young Caesar meets Cain and seems to like him. When Cain gets older, he is introduced to Louise at a party. Caesar appears and asks her to dance, and she blushes. Cain says in a monologue that he hates Caesar with his whole being. The next day, Nakaba asks Cain to save the village and his brother. Cain tells her that he asked the king to grant the village sovereignty. Caesar will be saved and the village will be free. He tells Nakaba, Lemuria, and Rito to go back to the castle and that he's going to deliver his father's message. Nakaba decides to go back to the castle and they go on a carriage. But Lemuria sneaks out of the carriage with Nakaba and Rito escorting her. Lemuria says that they're going back to the village. Lemuria reveals to Nakaba that she has the Arcana of Heart Sight, which can sense other people's feelings. Lemuria tells Nakaba that Cain was lying. She also asks Nakaba why every time she looks at her, her heart fills with fear. Lemuria admits that Cain always frightened her, and that there was a darkness in his heart that was strongest when he was around Caesar. They go back to the village and run into Leo. He shows them that the women, children, and elder escaped. Gotti and the men stayed behind. They're not at the village. There's actually like an encampment right before the village. And Gotti and the men are in the village right now. So smoke comes from the Ajin village. Nakaba and Leo run to the village, and then many Ajin are seen dead in the village, pretty much. Nakaba has a vision of Cain and Louise having a child. Nakaba confronts Cain. He admits that he hates Caesar. He tells her that she will die if she tries to stop him and looks to cut her down with a Letna blade. Caesar gets between the two with his own Letna blade he got from a soldier. Loki, Gotti, and Leo appear and try to help, but Cain orders his men to surround them. Leo uses the Arcana of Fire to burn the soldiers. Caesar retreats with Nakaba. So at the end of the volume, Lemuria catches up to the two, like Caesar and Nakaba. So some thoughts on Volume 5. I guess one of the biggest characters in this volume is Cain. You know, he's actually seems like a pretty good guy. He got a pretty tough break because of his hair, and it seems like he can greatly relate to Nakaba because of that, because they're kind of cast out because they don't have the right hair color. He's nice to her, but also, excuse me, He's very deceptive too. He clearly just hates Caesar, which is kind of sad because Caesar actually, at least when he's younger, Caesar seemed to be quite fond of Cain, and Cain was just like he put up a front that like everything's cool, but Cain secretly was just harboring more and more hatred for the guy. And it's sad. Like I said, tough break. I mean, his mom's a commoner, seems like a good woman, and then in the new order of succession, she is to be a concubine instead of the queen, just because of the whole black hair thing. So, and it seems like he just blames Caesar for a lot of the bad stuff that happened to him. So, he's a pretty tragic character. I'm glad that they put this backstory with him. I always like the duality of a villain, I guess. Because at the end of the day, he's still a villain. But it's kind of like, you know, I like it when the villain has a reason to be a villain. Like, it's kind of like the way fate made it and whatnot, and it's his own feelings and whatnot, kind of pushed him to go to the path of darkness, in a sense. But he's still a nice guy. That's the other thing, too. As a person, he seems quite nice and actually gets along quite well with Nakaba, of all people. Nakaba, though, she's very sympathetic to the Ajin, obviously. She's seeking for equality. Obviously, she's someone that's been cast out because of her hair and whatnot. And, she's also really close to Loki and Rito, Ajin have been helping her throughout pretty much her whole life. So, it's understandable that she's going to defend the Ajin tooth and nail, which is, you know, she's a very strong character. She's definitely of the side of righteousness and equality and whatnot for all, and it's good. I don't know how to say it. It really shows her character and whatnot. Leo, the Ajin, though, he has the Arcana of Fire. Um, he's got some power, but man, this guy like hates humans. It's good that Nakaba's kind of turning him around. Um, it looks like, but he is very much anti-human at this point. The Ajin village, you get to see Gotti, the elder and whatnot. It's kind of sad because the Ajin village, they're just kind of doing their own thing. So it really goes to show the king, he's just one evil dude because it's just like, hey, here's this village that is in the middle of nowhere that isn't hurting anyone. Oh, hey, let's use them as test subjects. It's pretty unfortunate, and really goes to show just how evil the king is. The elder, good guy. There's not much to say. It's kind of comical because he's like a bunny, you know, and his eyes apparently look like threes, as Caesar pointed out. So, um, wise, understanding. There isn't too much to the elder. And then Lemary also revealed that she has the Arcana of Heart Sight. So it's not an kind of like the Arcana of Time. It's not necessarily an offensive weapon, but it is a very useful thing to have. She can sense people's feelings. She knows when people are lying. She can read people and just know their, get an idea, I guess, of what their thoughts are and whatnot. So, obviously, it's not the worst power to have. It's not fire or elements or some sort of like power or anything like that, but it is a weapon or at least a tool to be used, at the very least. So, on to Volume 6. Volume begins with Lemuria meeting up with Caesar and Nakaba. They run away, but Prince Cain intercepts them. It's revealed that Cain is the one who kills Lemuria in Nakaba's visions. The three get surrounded by soldiers. Caesar distracts them while Nakaba and Lemuria run away. Cain runs after Lemuria while Caesar and Nakaba are busy with the soldiers. Before Cain can strike Lemuria down, Nakaba gets between them. Loki then stabs Cain from behind and kills him. Before Cain dies, he tells Nakaba that he's sorry and to smile for him. In a monologue, Nakaba explains that Cain did not swing a sword and pretty much stayed his arm, so he didn't even obviously it's a precarious situation, but yeah, he definitely at the very least hesitated. Some soldiers approach, and Caesar tells them to bury Cain with the honor that he deserves. They go to a city called Veta. Nakaba is despondent the whole time. Loki says that he needs to talk to her alone. She admits to Loki that she saw Cain's future, and his death is her fault. Later, Nakaba runs away. She has a vision of a young Caesar interacting with a young Cain. Nakaba then falls into a lake, and Caesar saves her. Caesar admits that because of her, he doesn't hate Cain as much as he used to. Nakaba admits that she cares about Caesar, and Caesar tells her that he loves her. She tells him that she loves him, and Loki sees this happening from a distance. Nakaba and Caesar then kiss. Back at the end, Balinus tells everyone that they need allies and that they must enter Senan. The Elder, Gotti, and Leo appear in the end. The Elder tells them that they'd like to help. Leo is told to accompany Nakaba and her group. He reluctantly agrees. Back at the castle, news of Cain's death is being talked about. The past is shown with Cain and Louise. Louise cries over his death. At the border town of Rent, Nakaba and her group are disguised as entertainers. They performed for the chief magistrate, Goda, as part of getting their registration papers. Goda, though, wants to see the girls in private. Nakaba gets Goda drunk and he passes out. They get the registration papers properly sealed and in order. In a carriage, they cross the bridge into Senan. Caesar tells Nakaba that he wants to know what it feels like to protect someone to make them happy. In a monologue, Caesar says that it's up to him to seize the throne. They stay at an inn in Kalika. Loki smells something. Caesar and Nakaba share a room. However, outside they see a man punishing and berating his Ajin servant. Nakaba runs to stop it, but Caesar jumps down the window. Nakaba catches up to them, and Caesar and Nakaba stop the man. And as this is happening, a carriage passes by. At the end of the volume, Prince Adele, heir to the Senan throne, comes out of that carriage. So, some thoughts on Volume 6. Prince Cain, what can you say? Definitely a tragic, a pretty tragic character overall. Like, he was a villain, but almost like a reluctant villain in a sense. He hesitated. He wasn't going, it didn't seem like maybe he was going to strike Nakaba down, maybe not, you don't really know, but he definitely stayed his arm, and Loki killed him. The death of Prince Cain was felt by everyone. Louise, Caesar, I think at the end of the day, Caesar says that he hates him. I think as he got older, he grew, he said, as he got older, he sensed that Prince Cain, his brother, didn't, just hated, Prince Cain hated him, and Caesar sensed that, so their hatred for each other grew. But, the fact of the matter is, when Caesar was young, he seemingly looked up to Cain. And, I don't know if Caesar truly hated Cain in a sense. Especially like he wanted him to be buried with honor. So you're definitely seeing the humanistic side of Caesar, and a lot more of the. You saw a lot of the humanistic side of Cain as well. Um, with the death of Prince Cain, it goes to show that the Arcana of Time and knowing the future can change fate and destiny, and that's what happened. And it has its consequences, and Nakaba finally figured that out, because Prince Cain, had he lived, is going to have a child with Louise. Now, that doesn't happen. Trade off being that Lemuria is now alive. So, it's really, you know, what was it, like Full Metal Alchemist, even distribution, or, shoot, I forgot what it's called. But it's just that, that equal trade-off, pretty much. A life for a life, in a sense. We have Leo joining the group. I'm sure he's going to get along with Nakaba. I can't imagine he'll be anything more than like kind of like a muscle to the group. I mean, he has the Arcana of Fire, so he is very potent. I don't know if he has much of a backstory. He just hates humans. I could see him getting along with like Rito and or like Loki possibly, and not getting along with Caesar. But maybe as the series goes on, he'll start appreciating humans more. Looks like they're heading back to Senan. Um, we saw a lot with the King of Belquat. Now we're gonna have to see. We're already starting to see the royal family of Senan right now, and obviously they're not big on Nakaba. I mean, they locked her up in a room. They seemingly don't care for her, so that's gonna be really interesting how this all works. Like they're there to gain allies, but there's no way that they're not gonna see the royal family. And speaking of which, the volume ended with Prince Adele, and he seems pretty pompous. Doesn't seem to like Nakaba. Looks, there wasn't much to him, but just from what I can observe and what I'm guessing, seems a bit arrogant, better than everyone else and whatnot. Very much like the spoiled prince type. As far as what his role is going to be, I don't know. Obviously, he looks like an antagonist at this point, so we'll see where that goes. And then, like, it looks like he might be introduced to Prince Caesar as well. So that's going to be kind of interesting, too. You got, like, two princes from opposing countries, meaning face to face. So we'll kind of see how that goes as well. So that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. Thank you for listening to these manga reviews. Next week, I will review Dawn of the Arcana, Volume 7 to 9, have a story reading of Homesickness, pages 11 to 15, and a movie review for Wonder Woman in a couple weeks. Thank you, and until next time.